Hey everyone, this is Zia from Dental School Coach, and today we have Justin once again. You may have watched Justin's video about DAT. He got like a 26 or 27 back in the day, and we have a video posted, and I'll share it down below. Justin is back. He's going to Nova Southeastern University. Did I get that right, Justin?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and today he's gonna talk about what happened between taking the DAT and getting admitted to Nova, and then attending his first year at Nova. All right. So Justin, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself again to the audience?
Okay, sure. Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Justin, like Zia said. Let's see, my background a little bit. Let's see, I was actually a nursing student before this, then decided to switch over to dental. And so I did that and talked to Zia. He helped me out through the whole process. Cool guy. And let's see, yeah, so then I just applied and got into school, and I go to Nova Southeastern University, and I'm a first year dental student currently.
Awesome. So Justin, going back to the application timeline, I know that it was a really tough time because you're a career switcher. You're essentially switching from
Right.
nursing to dentistry. What are some of the things that you had to mention in your application to make a favorable, favorable picture of yourself to the admissions committee?
Sure, sure. Yeah, so that was a pretty big topic of my interviews, and obviously something I had to explain during the personal statement and that kind of thing was why did I want to switch careers essentially. And one of the things I just kept saying was, well, I was a nurse, and well, I still am, but anyways,
You still have your RN certificate, right, or license?
yeah,
Good.
yeah. I mean, if I wanted to, I could just go work on the weekend or something, but no time for that. Anyways. Um, so yeah, so when I was explaining the career switch, let's see, I mentioned a lot about how I wanted more of a leadership role in healthcare.
Yeah.
Um, Essentially, I just wanted to be more of the guy making the decisions. Um, yeah, so that
Yeah.
was my main.
Yeah, as far as I remember, you wanted to make the decisions as opposed to being told what to do, as as most of the cases for nurses.
Yeah.
And why was it tough for you? Because not a lot of nurses go back to medical school or dental school. I mean, dental school is definitely different, but why? Because you applied to dental school before you applied to nursing school,
Right.
which was very fascinating. And do you want to talk about that? If
Sure,
you if
sure.
you're interested, I mean, I know that we do have limited time, but I would like to learn. I would like the
Okay.
audience to learn more about why did you make that decision to jump to dentistry.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of I don't know, kind of a unique I don't know happening of events. But so let's see. So yeah, like you said, I did apply to dental school back in 2010, 2011. Didn't quite make it. My GPA was terrible. I didn't have any kind of other experience, so that's not gonna work. So eventually, I went to nursing school, became a nurse. When I got out of nursing school, I was working, and you work for three as a nurse. You work for 3 days, like usually three 12-hour shifts per week,
Mm-hmm.
and you're off for 4 days a week. Well, I was like, wow, okay, so I got 4 days a week, and I still have student loans. So what else can I do to, supplement this income? Um, I had some friends that were doing real estate, like they were being realtors,
Mm-hmm.
and so I thought, well, let me go and try this out. So I was starting that, and then as I was doing that, I was building my clientele list,
Mm-hmm.
who happened to be mostly the other friends of mine from nursing school,
Yeah.
because when they first graduate, this is most of their first job, so they all want to buy houses, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're just now getting money, so now the next step usually buy a house.
Right.
Anyways, um, so one of the clients that I was working with, or potential clients I was going to work with, happened to be a friend of mine from nursing school. This particular guy was 50. Was, yeah, he was like 50 years old, had a wife and a kid,
Oh wow.
and he was kind of telling me he had kind of a similar story. He had recently applied to, or not, but he had previously applied to dental school, didn't get in, but was now thinking of go ahead and reapplying. and we were talking about like, yeah, man, we'll just we can study for the DAT together. We'll reapply. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is a good idea.
And you just
Like,
jump in. It's like take the DAT
yeah.
and then apply. So how many schools do you apply? Do you remember?
Oh, I applied to a lot.
Okay.
Probably more than I needed to, and a lot more than the average.
Mhm.
It was like
So
23,
as far as I remember, you applied to like close to 20 schools or so.
23, 24.
23. And one of the reasons that you're scared was the low GPA that you had in undergrad. You had a really good GPA in your nursing school, but you're kind
Yeah,
of worried about your GPA back in undergraduate, right?
right.
Cool. So what did you do to overcome that fear?
Um, well, to overcome that fear, well, basically that's a lacking in my application. That's a weakness of my application. So I
Hmm.
need to make other areas really strong. One of the things I did was I made sure my personal statement was, super strong. I did my best to kill the DAT,
Wow.
just
Yeah.
strengthen other areas of the application.
Yeah, yeah. So, and then you go to the interview process, right?
Mhm.
We do mock interviews together, and
Yeah.
some like one of the biggest challenges that you faced was to explain your story. Going from nursing to dentistry, also explain your low GPA.
hmm
What are some of the questions that came about in the in the interview process when you're interviewing?
Oh man.
I know it's been a long while, but if you was there like anything remarkable that uh,
Well,
were
yeah.
asked?
Well, I mean, I don't know. In my particular case, they all wanted to know why the career switch. That
Yeah.
was just a given. Every single interview was going to ask me that. Um, just general questions. Why dentistry? Why this school?
Yeah, yeah.
Can you explain any weaknesses in your application? Can plus, or what would you take out of your application and what would you highlight?
Right, right. What would you change? So,
Yeah.
like, what do you think helped the most in those interviews?
Well,
And if you
having,
if you
like you
had to
said,
give any advice to like the new candidates, the new applicants, what would you tell them?
okay. Yeah, yeah, you gotta practice. I mean, it's almost like an act. Like you gotta rehearse your lines. It's in a way
Right.
you don't want to sound like a robot, but kind of think ahead what you would like to say or the route you would want to take.
Mm-hmm.
And doing the mock interviews with you, like you said, was very helpful. Also, there's another thing. On Student Doctor Network, there is there's a part of the website where they have certain interview questions
Yeah.
from different schools. You can go and check it out and see other students' interview experiences from
I'll
each.
uh, I'll link
Very
the
helpful.
I'll put the link below so that the students can go check it out. It has all the schools that are accredited by the ADEA, and you can essentially see all the questions that students have posted about this school previously. So it's a great resource.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So how did you feel when you got into dental school? I know that you got into multiple dental schools and then you chose Nova. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, I got into two,
Okay.
two,
Two
and
is
then
good.
I
A lot of people haven't gotten into any dental school, so two is good.
yeah. All I needed was one, really.
Yeah, all you need is one.
So, yeah. Oh, I was extremely happy. Like, it's
Who chose the other one aside from Nova?
Mosdo, Mosdoh
In
from
Missouri,
Missouri.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was just super happy, excited, ready to get things started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what made you decide for Nova? Like, why did you want to go to Nova as opposed to Mazda? Mazda is also a great school.
It is a good school. So yeah. So
Also in the Midwest, where you're from.
yeah. Well,
Well, you're
kind
from
of.
Texas.
Yeah. I'm from.
Texas
Yeah.
is their own. It's its own country.
That is true. That is true. Let me see. So yeah, Mazda was nice. It was cool. To be honest, personally, it really had kind of a lot to do with the location of the school itself. Mazda, the area it's in, it's just really so much of a small town.
Hmm.
It's literally like farmland everywhere. That didn't necessarily appeal to me. so much. It just seemed like there was not really much to do in the city. I don't know. kind of
No,
maybe,
totally
maybe
understand. Totally understand. Now I live in Durham, North Carolina, which is very small compared to where I'm from, New York, right? So
uh-huh.
it's really small. You don't have many restaurants. You don't have many things to do. There's only one nightclub that all the Duke undergrads and grad students go there,
Oh yeah.
which is kind of it's kind of crazy. It's called Shooters
Oh,
Salon,
nice.
and so we have Fridays designated for undergrads and Saturdays designated for like grad students. So it's kind of crazy, like you don't violate the rule. If you're
Wow.
undergraduate, you don't go there on Saturdays, or like it's kind of crazy. But small town. But in New York or Miami, where you are, I think you're in Miami, right? So you
Man.
have a lot more option, and Miami is pretty nice. Like the weather is
Uh,
nice,
it's
it's beautiful.
perfect.
How
It's not
how is the
too,
weather today in Miami?
uh,
That's probably the first question I should have asked.
it's beautiful. It's nice. Mid 70s. It's kind of odd. It's actually a little cloudy out, which is kind of odd for, the Sunshine State, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah.
But yeah, no, it's really nice. And another thing why I chose Nova over Mazda was the class size of Mazda was really small.
Yeah.
It was only like 40.
Oh, that's
And
really small.
yeah, compared to here in Nova, there's like 125 students per class.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just personally prefer to have a lot more students, a lot more friends you can make, people to help you out,
Bigger network.
more connection. Yeah, exactly. The
Yeah.
network. That
I
was my
mean,
reason.
there is a benefit to it. I think Nova is in the middle, right? It's like 120, is slightly higher than national average, which is like around 90.
Okay.
NYU and BU, they're huge with 300 to 400 class
Oh,
size.
yeah, that is pretty big.
But yeah, like Nova is awesome. Funny thing, I actually got rejected from Nova. I don't know
Really?
why. Yeah, I did got rejected from Nova. Something that I don't share, publicly. But so I'm really glad that I think two other students of mine, including you, have gotten into Nova, and I would love to like learn more about what Nova cares about during their interview process, during their application selection process. And I also would love to know more about your first year, which you're almost finishing up this May. So I would
Mhm.
love to learn more about. I think we should start, talking about some of the things that you really like about Nova, and then move towards talking about your first year.
Okay, yeah. So, well, let's see. So, just to kind of, I don't know, expand on what our class, I don't know, demographic or population is like. Um, One thing I found kind of interesting was that there actually are some international students. We have several Canadian students,
Hmm.
a girl from China. Um,
Wow, that's
so,
rare.
yeah, it's rare, and it was more than I would expect because as far as I'm concerned, it's really difficult to get in as an international student.
Yeah.
So we had quite a few, so that was surprising. Let's see. Well, we're in Miami, so we're really close to Cuba, so there are quite a few Cuban students as well.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, no, good mix, good
So good
mix.
diversity, good student
Oh yeah,
pool. Yeah.
very very diverse, which I like.
Yeah.
So it's
So
cool.
tell me a bit about the curriculum. What are some of the unique things about the curriculum that pre-dentals should know about?
Yeah. So I don't. I only go to Nova. I don't go to others. I don't know what other schools' curriculum is really like.
Yeah.
However, I believe a lot of other schools basically their curriculum is like so your first 2 years will be a sort of a mixture of didactic,
Yeah.
like your book work, as well as clinical stuff, like in the sim lab, not with real patients, but so that's your first 2 years. However, with Nova, it's more like they want you to take all your book work, your didactic courses in the first year,
Mm-hmm.
and then you will take your boards after the first year.
Okay.
And then after that, you're essentially doing a lot more clinic work. So
Mm-hmm. So your second year, third year, and fourth year is basically clinics or rotations.
basically,
Okay.
basic. I would say you have so first year is mostly didactic, some clinic. Second year is a lot less didactic, more clinic. Third year is a little didactic, mostly clinic, and then fourth year is just like all clinic.
Okay. Got it. So in
Yeah.
terms of the first year, like from a percentage basis, how much is didactic versus how much is clinic?
Oh,
Like
a
if you have
lot.
to is it like a 90-10 or is it like 80-20? Give me a
85,
ballpark.
15.
85, 15.
85,
Okay,
15.
that's
Yeah.
fair. That's fair. So
Yeah.
you are basically shadowing maybe some upperclassmen, helping out in the dental, dentistry process, but you're not heavily involved in clinic until you got to your second year.
Exactly. So we go and shadow the upperclassmen maybe like 3 or 4 times this semester, and then like 3 or 4 times last semester too.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, in terms of your daily day, day to day, like how does your day to day look like right now? I know it's super busy in dental school, super intensive and demanding, coursework from
Mhm.
in dental school. But what's your style? How do you manage your day to day?
Day to day. Let me see.
Or I mean, how does your week look like? I think day is
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
be different, but yeah, week. How does week look like for you?
Right, right. Okay. Well, let's see. So, okay, just I give you a real example for this week. Let's see. Today is Saturday, so this upcoming week on Tuesday we have an exam, and then on Thursday we have another exam, and then on Friday we have a what they call an IPA, which is basically a practical exam. It tests
Okay.
your hand skills in a sim
Okay.
lab. We're doing some preps for some composite. Anyways, you use your handpiece and you drill out
Mm-hmm.
the mannequin head's tooth, and they want to that's your exam for the sim lab. But yeah, so basically we're just cramming and trying to pass our exams and stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a lot of exams though, and this because of that we had to schedule our call for today, right? Because you were
Yeah,
taking like two exam back to back, and you're just studying all night.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
That
crazy,
was
man.
that was.
Probably better that I didn't go to dental school.
I mean, I don't know. Everyone has their own path. So
I think business school way easier. Like we spent majority of our time socializing, which is the purpose of business school. A lot of
don't
alcohol
tell me
involved.
that, man. Don't tell me. I might have to come join.
Well, you can get an MBA after you get your DDS or DMD.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And
Yeah, I
I,
mean,
I actually really have thought about that before. So.
what classes are the hardest? What are some of the most challenging
Uh-huh.
coursework? And
Oh, okay.
what did
Yeah.
you have to study most for?
Okay. Yeah. So yeah. So I'll start over. So we took microbiology. We took immunology. We took biochemistry, histology, neuroanatomy. Um, we take a dental course that's just straight up talking about like dentistry,
Hmm.
um, learning about teeth, procedures, that kind of thing. It's a lecture to
Yeah.
go along with the clinic sim lab.
Hmm.
So yeah, those are some things. By far, the hardest classes were microbiology,
Hmm.
and followed closely behind was immunology.
Okay. What made them hard?
Oh man, so what really made them hard was the sheer volume of material to learn, and they only give you 2 tests per class, and you only get 40 questions per exam. So basically, you get a small amount of questions per a lot of material to know.
Yeah.
As well, the another thing that makes it super hard is just the short amount of time
Yeah.
combined with heavy, it's a really big didactic load, and you're just really trying to get all the material in a short amount of time. Kind of makes it really tough.
Yeah. I can imagine. Also, quick question. A lot of these schools actually don't require you to go to class. Do you have to go to class at Nova? Are the classes recorded? What's the deal with the classes?
Okay, yeah, so that's actually kind of a topic of or a hot topic of debate over here. They want us to go to class. They will, no
They
matter if
do.
it's
They want you to go to class.
yes, no matter if it's here, no matter if it's required or not, they always will recommend you to go to class. So we have some that are required,
Hmm.
and then some that are not required, and they'll record the lecture um, and put it online.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. Um, so in terms of pre-dental who is listening right now to the talk, what advice do you have to give about Nova, about application process, about going having gone through the process the year before or 2 years before? What are
Yeah.
some of the piece of word of wisdom that you have?
Okay, yeah. So for the interview, just, realize that this interview is going to be your most relaxed and chill interview. So, don't sweat it too much.
Hmm.
It is, of course, it's good to prepare, but don't, this interview is more of a conversation, so don't worry too much. In order to prepare for school, it really just kind of depends on you and your personal situation. For me, I had been out of school, I mean, out of like undergrad since like 9 years.
Yeah,
So that
yeah.
that's a lot, So what I would recommend is someone like that, or maybe even someone who's not super fresh on their undergrad courses. I would highly recommend a master's, some kind of further education.
Like
Maybe not
a
necessarily
like a postbac or supplemental masters.
exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Like there's all those 1 year masters of
Hmm.
science somewhere. Maybe that would be the ideal scenario, but maybe at least just a few classes,
Okay.
just kind of brush up. Get like for example, I hadn't taken biochemistry since 2008 or 7,
Oh wow.
and it's 2018, 19 now.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, if I had some kind of course refresher for that, my first year would have been a lot easier, I
Hmm.
think. That would be,
So, so how did you cope with that? Like, I know that the the professors do their best to make sure you're up to speed and you can understand the material, but it's a lot of material. Coming, it's almost like drinking from a fire hose. Like, what are some of the tips that you have for students like you, right, who have been out of school for a while, coming from a very non-traditional background to adjust with that? Because not everyone is going to have the capacity to go back to school or uh, do a supplemental master's program. It's expensive. It requires time.
yeah,
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 it's a
yeah.
good advice. I mean, I have students always asking me like, "Hey, Zia, do I do this master's program or do I, like, what do I do?" Like sometimes I tell them, "Don't do it because it doesn't make sense for you."
Right, right. Yeah, and believe me, I totally get it. That's a pretty big That's a very big commitment to do a master's. But in an ideal world, I'm just thinking, what would I have done differently? What would have helped me out most? And would have been that. But nonetheless, you can definitely get by without it.
Yeah.
So in order to, I guess, to get by, if you haven't looked at this material in a long time, um, well, so obviously you're gonna have to spend a lot of time with the material. I mean, you have to cut out a lot of hobbies. You just gonna have to work a lot harder than
Mm-hmm.
other students who just came out of undergrad, who just took this course last semester, you and also networking with your other classmates, even upperclassmen. They can
Mm-hmm.
kind of they can help you out a lot. Like you and your classmates can maybe, y'all can work together, maybe
Yeah.
share notes or explain topics, that kind of thing. And then maybe even an upperclassman can be like, oh yeah, this guy is really hard, or oh, this lady is, she's more basic. She tests on more like basic topics, not too in depth, or just kind of that, get a feel for
Yeah.
professors that way.
So basically, get a better handle of like your classmates, of upperclassmen that can really help you out. Is there like a formal tutoring or mentoring system at Nova?
Um, Not that I'm really aware. Oh, okay. So, yeah, so we do have some tutors,
Yeah.
right? Um, a lot of them are for like the labs, but we do have tutoring. Nova doesn't pay for it. You pay them,
Okay.
kind of like on your own thing.
I mean, still, it's an investment for you
Oh yeah,
to
no,
to do well.
exactly. We all wouldn't have done well on like a lot of, for example, anatomy lab. Um, no one, everyone had to hire a tutor, and it paid off big.
Yeah.
So.
So I think that gives us a good transition to move into the last part of our interview, which is essentially looking for what are you looking into? Like, are you looking into specializing, or are you thinking of GPR, or is it too early to say?
You know, man, I have wrestled with that topic, oh my God, for like, I don't know, the last year and a half. And I'm still kind of I've reached here's a conclusion I've reached. Um, any route I take, whether I specialize, don't specialize, whatever, I'm gonna be really happy with. Like there's so many pros to each side, like I can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Um, I guess where I'm kind of at right now is I'm just gonna do my best in all my classes and that kind of thing, and just see where it plays out. See if there's an area of dentistry that I really like and would
Hmm.
love to do only that for for the rest of my career. Um, but yeah, so basically I'm just studying as hard as I can, doing as good as I can in classes, and seeing where that goes from there.
Wow, that's awesome, man. I think that's a
Yeah.
good piece of advice for people. I mean, people go gung ho about specializing, and there are people that would go to like a Ivy League school just because they want to specialize.
Yeah.
Um, I think the point is that you could be happy either ways. I know this guy. He's a dentist at I think somewhere in Indiana, and he's a general dentist. He has the coolest dental office. He made the dental office seem like an experiential place for people, right?
Nice. Nice.
He plays golf with his patient. He has a TV. Like he just
Huh.
made it a place for it's a destination, right? Um,
Right.
so he's a general dentist, and he's happy doing it. Like he's happy building his own business and own practice. So that's a great thing that he's doing. And
Hmm.
I know specialists who are doing well as well. So I think it's a balance of where you want to be, what makes you happy, and what do you want to do for the rest of your life.
Exactly. It's not all about, I mean, money, because like you typically think, okay, a specialist, well, actually, yeah, it's true on average, a specialist will usually make more than a general dentist, but that's not necessarily the case.
No.
For example, a friend of mine, his dad's a general dentist out in LA, and the guy is making 1 million plus per year. I
Yeah.
mean, it's really, I think it's a case by case scenario. It depends on you as a person.
Exactly, Justin.
Yeah.
So, almost at the end, what parting advice do you have for the listeners, for the audience here?
Okay, yeah. Well, I will say, if this is your dream, then by all means, give everything you got for it. Like, don't cut any corners. Don't take no for an answer. If you do unfortunately, if you do get rejected at the interview, ask them what did I do wrong, or not necessarily what. Ask them how can I improve my application, and then go do that, and then reapply.
Hmm.
My whole philosophy when I was applying was, all right, look, it is very real that I could get rejected this year. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go improve my application and reapply and continue that cycle until eventually my application is so good that they cannot reject me. You
Yeah.
know, because eventually you will get in. That was my thinking. Like, I'm just gonna keep improving,
Just
keep
keep
replying until I
pushing,
get in.
persistence, and tenacity. I
Yeah.
admire that about you, man. And thank you so much for doing this for the listeners.
Sure.
You're one of my star students, so that's why I wanted to bring you in second time to have the dental coach community look at what success looks like on the other end, and
Right.
also what are some of the uncertainties that you're gonna face and you're gonna have to make decisions about. I think that's what life is about, but overall this is what dentistry is about. So thank
Yeah.
you, Justin. Thank you again, and
Thank you.
listeners. If you have any questions about Justin's path to dental school and Nova, shoot it to me. And Justin, would you be able to answer some of the questions?
Happy to help, man.
Awesome, awesome. All right, let's cut it here.
All right.
Yeah, how